We're joined by Chef Tobias Dorzon, who's joining us here we're going to catch up on a lot here in this discussion. And
Yeah.
among them, you look so great, my friend.
Thank you, man.
You know, you went through back November 5th. It was more than a year ago, was
Yep.
it?
Last month, on the 5th, made it a year. So, coming up on a year in a month.
Yeah, you were shot 11 times, and you made a miraculous recovery. And I was telling you before we started this recording just how much of an inspiration you've been sharing your recovery with everyone as you go through it. You know, I wanted to talk to you a bit about that recovery and how it's been. And, you know, obviously I'm sure there's been the tough moments and the moments of hope and promise. You know, talk a bit about that journey for you.
Oh man, the journey is it's been a journey that wasn't expected, but it's a journey that you tend to appreciate a lot more now, especially with how you figure out how sometimes you got to get broken to get built back up. So it gives you a chance to see things in a different aspect. Just rehabbing something like my legs being something that I never thought that wouldn't be like the lead part of my life. It took me throughout sports, and in the kitchen you got to move around a lot, and to be confined to a bed, for so long because of gunshot wounds was something that, it's been a tough process. Even now, just learning how to walk correctly. I've been walking for a couple months now, but, walking without that fear of having to watch every step I take in case I fall because, my legs don't have the strength that they have. My left leg still has slight numbness below my knee. So, it's a lot of things that you're still working towards getting better at. And it's that confidence to be able to walk on a day-to-day outside without having to look over your shoulder, every minute. That's the biggest thing that I think when things like this happen, we take for granted.
And I want to take you back to that night. What do you remember of that night when it happened?
I remember a lot of smoke, just a lot of praying in the moment, just trying to figure out what was next, like, just not knowing what the outcome would be, just, questioning if you was going to still be here. So, like, it's a lot to process, in a short amount of time, but really just having the faith that the unbelievable will happen. And, when you have the type of faith that I have, things like that happen, and, I was able to survive something like that and be here to tell people that anything's possible.
Did you hear anything or did anything tip you off that something may have about to happen to you that night, or was it just a last minute?
Not really. No, it was already election night, so it was already a gloomy night anyway. But not really. Just it was a normal date night. Just a normal date night. We were going on a normal date night, but nothing. Just it's nothing. It's really nothing that I could say like, okay, this was the reason why it happened, or prevent it in no type of way. It was just one of those, like, all I could do is moving forward, just respect how I go about going outside, knowing who I am.
And we talked about right after that happened, the community support, not only from your chef and culinary community, but the local community as well. Talk a bit about the support and how that drove you in your recovery.
Oh man, I think the support was one of the. I think I said it. I thanked everyone at once about the support. I think in many days, without that support, I don't know how long I would have made it. Trying to fight for during recovery, man, it was rough, especially the first 60 days was it was like hell on earth, like, so it was really just trying to figure out how to survive, and the support that you see that pouring in from people that don't know you was like the one I wanted to be the person to fight to come to overcome something so people could actually say that it's possible they know someone, whether they know me, in the flesh or not, but they know someone that was able to survive something so tragic, So just looking at how many people supported me and, just prayed for me, was a big thing for me. So that support that we got from the community was important.
And you talked about needing to learn how to walk again, and maybe there was some uncertainty along the way on whether you would walk again. Talk a bit about how you pushed through that and just the reward at the end as you see yourself. Today, you walked in here. You really didn't need much assistance. I know early
Yeah.
on you needed that assistance. So you're seeing that recovery day by day. Talk a bit about that.
Oh, the walking part, like again, is the hardest. Going from someone who, 2008, I broke my ankle in college, and I think I had crutches for probably like 6 weeks, but I was still walking on my cast to being confined to a bed for 60 days. Like, that was the first step. Like, I had never, like, I can't even sit in bed for 5 hours now, without feeling like I got to get up to go to the bathroom and things like that. So for 60 days to automatically just being confined to a bed, to going from a bed to a wheelchair, from going to a wheelchair to a walker, from a walker to a cane, that was a process for me that I never ever in my life thought I would have to, deal with. And having to learn how to do all those things, like it's an art to using a wheelchair that, something I never thought I would have to teach myself, and walking with a walker and, slowing up everything that you used to, right now, I'm coming from being an athlete who, uh, ran 4.3, and I can't jump off the ground anymore. I can't run anymore. I can't walk fast anymore, And, those things are things that never in my life I thought at one point I would never be able to do. Like, I always thought I would be able to chase my kids around, whether it was me moving super fast or not. But not even being able to do those type of things now, it's kind of like, you appreciate the moments that you did have where you could do things like that.
A lot of people can learn from this experience. And I want to ask you, too, what have you learned from this experience? Has it changed you in ways, maybe made you look at life different than maybe you did before?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the way I look at life now is completely, opposite of what I looked at it before. Because I really I cherish everything 20 times more than I did before. Just knowing that at any moment it could be your last, moment. And, that's the thing that I think a lot of us don't live in that moment because you don't have things like that happen to you. So, I can't blame people for saying, I don't know how it feels to live every moment like it's your last because, if you don't experience it being almost your last, how do you know how to live in those moments? But, having a situation where I almost saw my last, everything that I do now, I appreciate it. Like whether it's the biggest thing in the world or the smallest thing in the world, just being able to do certain things and experience people. Like just experiencing people is a big thing for me, and being able to enjoy the world and the way it is now. Genuine people are important. I think when you get a chance to just be around genuine people and then enjoy the world, I think you have to because at any moment, just anything can happen. And the world. That's just how the world is built. Like you never know why, but you continue to have faith and just live the moment as it is.
As you think back to that night, if you were given the chance to talk to those who shot you, would you want to take that opportunity to talk to them? And what would you say if so?
I think my message has been sent. Really just, I mean, we all got the same 24 hours in a day. And that's just like the only thing that I would really. You can't control what's going on in the world. Like I think when you think about it too much, you overwhelm your own body, your own mental with how you could fix the world. You can just continue to be that one voice or that one figure that's continue to display things the right way, and hopefully, a lot of, eventually the world will fall in line. But it takes everybody doing their own part. So it's nothing that I really say. I think surviving is the best thing I could have answered with. And I'm still here, and I still trust everything that God has for me. So I just take each day as it is.
And you're getting back into the TV world, so let's move into that. And that you're now doing Tournament of Champions, the All-Star Christmas edition. You've been doing pretty well on that. How has it been getting back into the studio, getting back to what you know and love?
Oh, man, getting back to it has been great. It's been something that's helped my confidence, especially throughout this whole gaining my confidence on understanding that I'll never walk the same again. That's another confidence builder that you have to now create in your own mind, because you're used to moving a certain type of way. So being in that kitchen, just being able to do what I love and still excelling at it. I think the time that I had down to sit down, it gave me a chance just to study culinary more, love it more, just continue to perfect my craft. So when I was able to get back in the kitchen, I realized, and I think being down really taught me how much I really did love what I do. There's nothing more I could ever want to do in life. Everything that it brings with it, just being an entrepreneur and someone that is trying to create for themselves is not an easy thing to do. And, I wake up and do it every day, regardless on how hard it is or, the journey that I take to do it. I get up in the morning and do it every day. And I think, competing again and giving me that confidence to compete at the level that I'm competing at right now, reminded me who I was as a chef. So it helps me remind myself that everything that I'm doing is still for a purpose and still for a reason. And I hope that, people that are watching me get the right view of who I am and what I stand for and how great of a chef I really am.
And you and Guy Fieri have formed quite the relationship over the years, very close. What was it like seeing him for the first time after everything that happened, really getting to give him that hug again?
Oh, man, think about Guy. Guy was there from the day it happened to right now. We talk at least 3 to 4 times a week. That's a guarantee. My big brother, someone who's guided me through the ropes and helped me, because he knows my route hasn't been a conventional route. And he knows that I don't want my route to be a conventional route, and he knows that he's someone whose route wasn't an easy route, and everyone in the world doesn't like him, but he understands who he is, and he's true to himself. And I think the relationship that we have is so big because he know I'm true to myself, and he know I love what I do, and he's been the person to help me get back mentally get me back to where I am right now. And right now, he's dealing with an injury right now where he just had quad surgery, and we're able to relate so much more right now because he kind of see what I've been going through as far as my recovery. But yeah, we just talked last night. One thing about it, we're gonna talk, and he's gonna give me advice that I'm, and sit up high in the chair when I'm a judge and lead and talk. And I think he's got me better with how I talk when I'm on air, and just how I carry myself, and how I'm supposed to move in this business, because at the end of the day, it's a business. So on top of me being a great chef, he's taught me so much more about the whole industry itself. So that guy is one of those people that, I always support, and he's always supported me.
And I was going to say, we're going to give you a job for being a DJ or something. Want to be a news anchor here? You really, you're very comfortable behind the mic, and I'm sure that's from all that experience you've had. But, talk a bit about how the season's going. I know you can't give us any spoilers here, but things have been going pretty good for you on the show.
Man, see, the season's been going great, man. I got an amazing partner, Marcel, man, Chef Marcel. Shout out Marcel. He's another person that gives me a great confidence. Marcel has worked in many Michelin star restaurants, opened restaurants for some of the best chefs in the world. So his his brain behind the stove is phenomenal, and um, just we're both the same kind of out of the box type of chefs, and it's been able to work for us. I know a lot of people didn't see our combination, coming, but just two chefs with egos but no egos. And, I think that's a great thing about it is I think we're at the age now where our egos are put aside. If we're at this level of cooking, we understand that we both are at a high level of cooking. So just making sure that we're able to take our talents and not let it knock with each other has been a great thing, man. If you haven't seen it already, man, we're doing numbers right now.
And it must help you grow as a chef too. Getting these sort of lineups and getting to work with different people who are at the same caliber as you are.
Oh yeah, man. That helps the most. That helps the most because you always think you're somebody, and when you're able to now be in the room with some of the people that you think you are, and you're excelling, it kind of gives you that stamp of who you really are, man. So it's been a pleasure the past 4 years I've been on Tournament Champs. I've been able to be very successful, and it's just ensured me to know like who I am as a chef. So just like a lot of the things that I've done, like coming back to my hometown, Prince George's County, and opening a restaurant and being able to be the only person in my restaurant that's been to culinary school and educate my staff and my team and win Chef of the Year, things that Prince George's County has never done. It just ensures me where, this is just the beginning for who I am as a chef, but still in the beginning, I still want to be the best at what I'm doing. So being able to still, shed light on Hyattsville, Maryland, where I have a restaurant that typically you'll never go to for a restaurant, So if you haven't been to my restaurants, 1123, the Huncho Experience, something that's dear to my heart, that I love dearly, and I put a lot of my blood, sweat, and tears in. And I mean, regardless on what time it is, if I'm not filming and I'm in the state of Maryland, most of the time I'm at my restaurant. So, if you haven't had a chance yet, make sure you do.
Huncho House, I've been there. Amazing food.
Thank you.
It was just in the whole atmosphere. Walking in, you get the glass, and then you get sat at the table, and just the food was just amazing. So a plug for you there because I love the food there.
Thank you.
But let's talk a bit about your restaurant. You've grown from it started with Huncho House, and now you've expanded. Talk about that and that expansion you've seen.
1123, the Huncho Experience it's been something that for a while in cooking, a lot of people always mentioned that I didn't cater to my heritage, and which I'm West African. My parents are from Liberia. I was the only one out of 10 born in the U.S. So I'm the youngest, and I grew up in a household where African food was a big thing. But I was the Americanized kid, and for a while, people always asked me, why did I never tap into it? So this was a big one for me, where I was able to fusion my American culture with my favorite cuisine, which is Asian, and then mix it in with some West African food. And 1123 is an experience that you get to, kind of like jump on a plane and experience 3 different types of food on one flight, where you can get a sushi bar, you can get a raw bar, you can get some amazing West African dishes, you can get some Asian dishes, some American dishes, and I have different themes throughout the week. Like tonight's R&B Thursdays, where you can just hear soulful R&B music from 90s R&B to current R&B. It's good food. We'd have run an all-day happy hour. Fridays, we do Afro beats. Wednesdays is dinner and a movie. So we played old school movies, and we just ask people to come in and have a good time and just experience good food and, just a great atmosphere. Like, it's something that I have a picture of my mom when she was 25, like a big blown up picture of my mom. And it's just home. It's just so much. it's home to me. It's comfortable. It's my safe space, and it's where I like to create. So it's somewhere that um, I've given myself a chance to show the world who I am, and it's been a pleasure doing it, and I'm having a great time doing it, and I'm just grateful again to wake up every day. When I almost lost that opportunity. So right now I'm just smiling at life. Whether it's good or bad. Whether it's good or bad, somebody didn't wake up this morning, and my restaurant has given me an opportunity to remind myself that my purpose is to bring people together. You never know who you meet each and every day at my restaurant, and then just having people come in that support me, that come in and ask for pictures. And I tell myself all the time to appreciate those moments. In the beginning, I thought it was football that would make me, who I am today, and God didn't have that plan. It was something else, and it was food. So I think with 1123, what you get from 1123 is really the opportunity to meet Chef Tobias, who he really is, just from every aspect of it. And I'm having fun doing it, and I'm having fun being here.
Last time you were here, you were talking about the building of 1123. So now my question is, what are you building now? Is there anything new coming down the road that we can look forward to that's coming restaurant-wise?
Restaurant-wise, it's still up in the air. I don't know whether it's D.C. or whether it's Houston, but I'm just right now at this moment making sure that 1123 is the best space that you could come and dine in and have an experience that you can't have nowhere else. And I'm just taking in this moment and just enjoying it.
And you, of course, took a chance in that neighborhood that you've built your restaurants, and you've seen it transform because of, partially what you've done with those restaurants. Talk a bit about seeing that transformation there and just seeing that area grow with your restaurants.
Oh, man, I grew up 7 minutes up the road. So, Prince George's Plaza was somewhere where we always would go and stand in line for shoes. And we know the areas that the restaurants are in right now was areas that, no one would go to. The city of Hyattsville is working on bettering the community. And, I wanted to be one of those people that could have went to D.C. and got a restaurant and, but I wanted to be one of those people that did my part in my community and bettering my community. I grew up there, and I didn't have the opportunity to be able to ride 10 minutes up the street to go get a good cuisine of food. Not to say nothing was wrong with the cuisines of food that we had, but, just be able to get that fine dining aspect. So it was important for me to make sure that if I had the chance, being the chef that I am, give back to my community, is a lot of life to live. So, I'll get the opportunities to build one of those, major juggernauts, down the line. Still got a lot of life to live, and I wanted to make sure that my community got to see what that really looked like, So, I appreciate the people that come out and support from the community, and the people that aren't from the community that come from within to be able to see what it is that we have to offer on that end. It's not typically that you'll have a restaurant in Hyattsville. So when I tell people all the time, Michelin doesn't come over here and James Beard doesn't come over here, but, I want to be one of those reasons that, if they even have to take a look, I'm the reason why they take a look, So it's big for me. I like to go against the odds, I don't like anything to be easy for me. Clearly, life hasn't been easy for me, but clearly I'm still here. I'm still shining. I'm still standing tall. So, it was something that going to Hyattsville was important. For me, it was important to go and be able to show people, like, I can go anywhere and I can be phenomenal. I know that I would have been, right now, I can pretty much bet my life on it. If I was in D.C., I'd be up for a Michelin, or I'll be nominated for a James Beard. I know that. That's not a question in my mind. But, being able to shed light on Hyattsville and bring people to Hyattsville. You know, it's been a joy for me, and I'll get those opportunities down the line. But for right now, making sure that my community gets to reap the benefits of a product that they developed is important for me.
And finally, speaking of the community, you're doing a big give back this holiday season. I want you to take a moment to talk a bit about that and what you're doing.
Yeah, so December 21st, right outside of in the middle of where my restaurant is, I'm going to do a give back where, you know, I just want to feed families that don't have, you know, the people that are going outside on these streets day in, day out, they don't have nowhere to live or a promising meal. You know, I'm trying to feed 250 to 300 people, and I'm partnering with a local shoe store that's going to give back, you know, hoodies and socks and toiletries, you know, try to give back to the people that need. You know, I know it's a tough time in life right now, and the holidays are coming up, and a lot of people are less fortunate, and I want to do my part in my community to make sure that I can help out any way I can. You know, so it's big for me. I'm going to spread more information about it on my Instagram and on my website. But the biggest thing is, you know, just being able to make sure that anybody that want to get involved and help give back, you know, to people that need, you know. And even if you don't have much, you know, giving anything, you know, can help somebody that doesn't have anything, you know. And that's my biggest goal for myself, and my biggest gift to myself for the holidays coming up, you know, is making sure that I can give back.
Chef Tobias, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. It's so great to have you in the studio, and you got a hero's welcome. If you notice, everybody's getting pictures with you at the studio. But
yeah,
I'm sure you're getting used to that at this point.
Yeah, man. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to feel wanted, you know. And anytime, you know, you guys call, you know, I'm here. You know, regardless there'll never be a moment in my life where I feel like I'm too big, and I think that's the part of my life that my parents instilled in me. And, you know, always appreciate every moment. The people that supported you from the beginning, make sure that, you know, they get the love just as much as everybody else, you know. So it's always a pleasure being here, you know, speaking with you guys, and, you know, being able to, you know, just shed my light on what life looks like right now.
Well, thank you again. We're just great having you here. We're looking forward to watching Tournament of Champions, the All-Star Christmas edition, and a lot more coming from you on that, and I know you can't tell us, but we're going to be watching.
Man, make sure you watch it next Wednesday, man. It's going to be a big one.
All right. Thank you so much, Chef Tobias Dorzon.